What a way to start. I've called Rancho my home since 1991. My family's a typical reflection of the RSM family. I have a beautiful wife. I have 4 children, have 1 little dog that yaps. My family's actively involved in all the things the community programs have to offer, the local sports, AYSO. We worship, we work, we play in this area. We love this area. What I would bring is I would bring fresh ideas for more family activities within our city. I believe strong families build strong communities. I am a conservative RSM business owner and employer. My 26 years of business experience would be an asset to our current city council. I would work to fill our empty storefronts with quality businesses that would expand our existing tax base. In 2006, when I saw so many Rancho families out of work, I decided to move my business here. I've been able to expand and take on extra projects and have added dozens of jobs to our local economy. I'm the only candidate who has a Rancho business. I am also the only candidate that has had to cut through the red tape to open a business here in Rancho. I know my experience dealing with City Hall would be a benefit in assuring Rancho is always business friendly and is open for business. My friends have asked, Kenny, why run? You're not a politician. And this is what I tell them. In March, I watched my opponents, Tony Beal and Carol Gamble, block a vote of the community. 3 council members decided for 50,000 residents that they deserve full-time benefits for a part-time job. They would not allow a community vote and put it on the ballot. Instead, they spent $21,000 on a survey of 405 residents. If elected, I will be a watchdog to your tax dollars, and my first vote will be to eliminate full-time benefits to part-time city council members because we, the taxpayers, should not be funding their medical and retirement.
Thank you, Kenny. Now, Kenny, what resources do you think are appropriate to spend on HOAs?
Well, as expenditures for HOAs, the money coming from the city, is that your question?
Yes.
Okay, what I would think would be appropriate is at the CAR meetings, that the communication is vital for the community to be able to weigh in and have the associations weigh in with the cities. For instance, my major concern would be graffiti or vandalism. I think we immediately need to get on any type of graffiti or any type of vandalism and try to correct that problem as soon as we can. The one beautiful thing about our city is as you walk around, you don't see graffiti. It is knocked down quickly and appropriately, and I think that's one thing that we can work with, and depending on who's going to reimburse who, I think we need to get right on it and eliminate any type of graffiti or vandalism to keep our city in the pristine state we find it in now.
Kenny, in one sentence, describe what a council member should be.
One sentence, this is tough. A city council member's chief responsibility is to ensure primarily that they're going to keep our families safe from violence and predators.
Kenny, in your written response, you state that cutting fees and regulations wherever possible would attract the jobs that RSM families need and want. What process and criteria would you use to reduce fees and regulations?
Fees and regulations tend to be difficult, tend to be high at most cities. When I went through my business experience, when I went to attain my permit actually took 28 months to receive, cost me $60,000, and I was billed for hundreds of hours of staff time. I did challenge those fees at the end. City manager actually encouraged me to write in my check, paid in protest, because the fees got completely out of hand. For a conditional use permit, the fees typically range from the city's website anywhere from $3,000 to $7,000. And like I said, mine went over $60,000. The city did refund me $50,000 after I protested the amount of fees that I was paying for my business. And I appreciated that back. It was written up as a settlement, but in essence, it was money that I paid to the city, $60,000, and they gave me back a $50,000 check.
Thank you, Kenny. Kenny, what type of business would you seek for a beneficial tax base for the city?
Well, actually, Glenn mentioned one. Costco will bring in quite a bit of money, but I believe that we have to have public input. Public input, I think, is number one in any project. I think we need to weigh the public's needs and see what they're interested in. We know what we're all interested in up here, and that's important, but you know what? We have 48,000 other people that are amongst us that we should be leaning to and getting their input. We've been looking for a hotel site for years, and then all of a sudden the land came available right next to IHOP. But what did we do? Did we put the hotel there? No. We put more townhomes. And so now we're thinking, okay, where can we put the hotel? Possibly Chiquita Ridge. We need to be proactive. We need to look for businesses that want to come here. In our surveys, we should be weighing the needs of the resident. As an entrepreneur, if someone came to me and said, you're one or two or three of the top choices of Rancho Santa Margarita, these people want you to open business here, I would run and open my business here because I know that the residents are asking for it. And I think we need to weigh the input of the residents, see what they're interested in, and Chiquita Ridge needs to be financially, it needs to be able to self-sustain itself. The park needs to be self-sustained by the commercial development, and that I believe wholeheartedly in.
Kenny, thank you very much. Kenny, how would you see the accountability for contract services being accomplished?
Contract services, they need to be managed on a pre-negotiated, very specific performance rating process. We need to be able to see that we're getting the best bang for the buck. We need to make sure that we're putting all contracts out to bid, that we know we're getting a competitive price, that also I believe that we should be having council members recuse themselves on votes if contracts have been awarded to certain companies. We just extended a trash contract that wasn't due until 2015. We now have it till 2020. I don't know if my opponents have taken money from this trash collector, but I do know that special interests can cloud the judgment of voting, and I would make sure that I never voted on something that I was taking money from another individual.
Kenny, in your written response, you state that we need to be very aggressive about looking at success in infrastructure development regionally and nationally. What examples of infrastructure success regionally and nationally come to mind?
Well, infrastructure, when I think of infrastructure in this city, for the most part, I think the infrastructure we're doing fine. The one area that I think we're failing in is securing our bridge. Our bridge, as many of you residents know, we keep on having deaths at our bridge. We had 2 unintentional deaths, one in 2005 and one in 2006. Both these individuals went to Rancho Santa Margarita not knowing that they weren't going to return home that night. They stepped over our bridge, which has a railing at about 36 inches, and they fell 65 feet to their death. We're failing in this area. We continue to hear how much money we have in reserves, but can't we secure our bridges and make them safe? I just don't understand it. We've paid settlements out to these families that have died, and we still haven't secured this bridge. Jerry Holloway in 2010 called an emergency meeting to secure our bridge. Do we have a fence on that bridge now? No. 2 years later, no, we don't have a fence. We have a lady that drove in from Lake Forest to jump off our bridge. I was recently getting my hair cut, and the gentleman that was cutting my hair said, have you had any more deaths off that bridge? What do we have to do to make our infrastructure safe in the city? I'm getting tired of listening to 19 million in reserves and reading about these deaths on this bridge. Not one person has mentioned the bridge and the bridge safety. But we need to do something about the bridge, or we're going to continue to have people jumping off the bridge and dying unintentionally.
Kenny, can you please identify areas where you believe the city and CAR have collaborated and that has worked well?
where you guys have collaborated together, the city and CAR. Well, I see what's going on at the lake right now, and I see as I sort of peek over that fence that's being blocked, I'm excited about the changes that are going to be made there. I believe that this is one of those areas that is owned by the associations, but pretty much is used by everybody in the city. So I assume that most or all the costs are being picked up by Sam Lark, and that would be one of the precious jewels of this city is that lake.
Thank you very much, Kenny. Kenny.
My father-in-law was here earlier. He's just my wife's father. He's a little over 80. He lives over at Palmilla, just right out of this area, and he stays actively involved. What we've been able to do in our area, there's numerous retirement homes, and we've been able to go to these homes and hold a senior prom for them. They dress up, we dance with them, we bring a youth group over, and they just love it. Some of these people aren't able to dance because they either have a walker or in a wheelchair. They just want someone to talk to. We've been able to make my courtyard available for numerous events for a variety of reasons. Recently, I was contacted for a memorial service, and I was able to open it up. The family didn't have money, but it was one of those things that I built it for the community, and it was just the right thing to do, and they were able to take advantage of a beautiful, beautiful site on that day to come and enjoy these last moments with their loved ones.
Thank you, Kenny.
Next to public safety, all the candidates agree that our top priority must be business development and retention. I am the only candidate here that has created jobs within our city. In 2006, I did open Dove Canyon Courtyard, but 2008, the city called me and my wife into a small meeting with 3 attorneys present. At that time, they told me that they had made an erroneous error that I would need to seek a new permit. 28 months later, $95,000 in attorney fees on my side and a $60,000 permit fee from the city, I felt I needed some recourse to come back at the city. I reached out to Tony early in the process. I reached out to every single councilman and thought, I need someone's ear to be able to tell what's happening to me. And only one councilman took the time to meet with me, and that was Jerry Holloway. This process cost my family a lot of time and a lot of sleepless nights. The truth was not told here. We had 40 sound tests, and you know how many we failed? 0. That's why the Planning Commission gave me my permit. That's why Tony and Carol wrote me a check for $50,000 to refund part of this money. When the city manager walked the site during an event, after 2 years, he came back and called me and said, Kenny, we've been believing the wrong people. Kathleen Hayton walked it 2 weeks later. She said, oh my gosh, we've been believing the wrong people. All of a sudden, it changed. What's amazing is the city will not ever admit an error. Yes, I signed an agreement that there were complaints against the courtyard because there were complaints. Were they legitimate complaints? No. Otherwise, Brad wouldn't have gave me my permit, and the other people sitting up there wouldn't have gave me my permit. They gave me my permit because I was within the law. And I just want to say that I love this city. What my family's been through has been difficult, and if I'm elected to serve the people, I will work my best for my constituents and always take your call.